coming up this week.
Downhill for the double vaxxed.
We are controlling every guest, so he needs to show his COVID status, he needs vaccination or a valid healing from corona.
Up in the air with a guide dog.
So relieved that she's okay, and she's just been chewing the bone the whole flight.
And Greece is the word, why fans of the Great British Fry-Up fear for its future.
I think there's a secret ingredient, it's love, because you just can't get this food anywhere in the world.
Hello and welcome to Bethnal Green in the heart of London's East End. Now, if you're looking for proper Cockney London, this isn't far from the real deal. And waiting just over there, calling out to me, is a proper traditional Great British Fry-Up. Some people, though, believe the traditional English breakfast may have had its chips. More on that later. First, though,
We're in the Austrian Alps, at a ski resort that became one of Europe's first COVID hotspots back at the beginning of 2020. Almost 2 years on, and Ischgl is cautiously reopening for business. We've been there to find out how things are going.
And what makes Ischgl special? The area is like awesome. You have so much space, so much fun, and you have so many options to do crazy things. In the wintertime, for shizzle, when the sun is shining, I will be up here for snowboarding. How the season was this year and how busy, it's still a kind of busy, but it's a little bit lower, it's a little bit relaxeder. For skiing, it's so good because the most of the time you have the feeling you're nearly alone up on the mountains.
Mit einer verzögerten Startzeit sind auch richtig gekommen und war relativ gut, ja, muss man sagen. Wir sind eigentlich schon zufrieden. Ja. Die aktuelle Saison verglichen mit 2020 ist schon sehr anders. Also man muss schon sagen, die Unbeschwertheit, die Leichtigkeit, wo früher da war, das ist nicht da.
Not so long ago, Ischgl was best known as the Ibiza of the Alps, as famous for its dazzling apres-ski scene as its 240 kilometres of pistes. But in early March 2020, as COVID began to arrive in Europe, the authorities here were slow to respond.
Eigentlich nicht wirklich wahrhaben wollen. Es ist eigentlich, wir waren total überrascht, überfordert. Ja.
Several days passed between the first positive tests and Ischgl's bars being ordered to close on March 10th. Then, on Friday, March 13th, the Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz ordered a lockdown, warning tourists that if they didn't leave immediately, they'd have to quarantine at the resort. The result was pandemonium, as people fled to catch a flight home. More than 6,000 tourists from nearly 50 countries say they caught coronavirus in Ischgl, going on to spread the virus across the continent and beyond. And so this small Alpine community was labelled the superspreader resort. Before the lockdown, it was reported staff at the Kitzloch bar had continued to turn up for work, despite displaying the flu-like symptoms that came to be associated with COVID.
In the beginning of February and March that there is the flu season and everybody is kind of ill, everybody's having a wet nose, everybody's having symptoms, headache, and so for us it was the reason for the illness was because of the flu season.
Most of Bernard's team went on to test positive for coronavirus. When he was quarantining, he saw reports about the bar spread worldwide.
That was quite, surreal. Of course, it must be that even people here got infected, and I'm very sorry about that. And we were not able to do anything different because we had no or no safety measures which were at this time available. So we had no possibilities for any tests or for controlling vaccinations and the entrance.
The bar didn't reopen again until this past December. This is the first ski season in Ischgl since the pandemic began. 54,000 ski passes were sold in December after it opened on the 14th. That's only a modest drop in numbers since the last time the slopes were open here in 2019.
Yeah, the season is fine so far. We are happy that we are able to welcome guests again from all over the world. We are limited to our seats, so at the moment we have availability for about 120 customers. Normally there are a lot of guests who are coming inside and having a drink standing. That's not possible at the moment. So we have a 50% capacity to a regular season. We are controlling every guest, so he needs to show his COVID status, he needs vaccination or a valid healing from Corona. And furthermore, it's necessary to wear a FFP2 mask to the place, and that's the measures we have at the moment, and we hope to have a little bit more normality in a few weeks.
All bars and restaurants in the region are subject to a strict curfew, and the police do the rounds daily to make sure that customers have valid COVID vaccine passes. These controls have had an impact on Ischgl's famous apres-ski scene.
While you're standing here in a dull, dark and silent space, we miss the nights of dancing, of hugging, of laughing, of being together here, because normally it is, I'd say, rather a wild place.
Marvin is the resident DJ at a local nightclub called Pasha, which has now been closed for nearly 2 years.
We have like lots of different people from all over the world, DJs, but also the artists. You know, the artists that we book here, they come straight from Ibiza, spending the winter season here. We got people, you know, working with fire or dancing or like. I personally feel that before COVID, we had a very creative transition in the Alps. Hotel owners trying to, you know, evolve new topics in the Alps, arts, music, events, and all that completely died. So I think we have to be optimistic, but we are in a very, very difficult situation because while other, you know, venues and clubs and restaurants in Austria have a very, very strong summer season, we don't have one in summertime, so this is why we need a strong winter. So I think what we need is a perspective, a running deadline where we see, hey, if this or that happens, if we bring the cases down to that point, we can open the club. And I'm hoping, and I'm still quite positive that we might have a spring season with a little bit of more freedom.
This ski season, the tourists have tentatively returned to Ischgl. But with strict controls still in force, the people who live and work here have been left wondering if and when it will regain its status as the Ibiza of the Alps.
I personally feel Ibiza of the Alps, yes, of course we can come back. We can come back even stronger because we have the infrastructure, we have the people, and we have the willingness.
Right, if you are off skiing, it's worth having a very close look at the rules, not just in the country, but also the resort that you're heading to as well. So here's our rundown of the places we think you should consider if you're looking for a quieter, more socially distanced time on the slopes.
Traditionally in Norway, skiing isn't so much about speeding down mountains as getting from one valley to another. You can find lots of well-looked-after tracks in the west of the country in Mjøkdalen. One 5-kilometre loop is lit up, so you can even go out after dark. Perfect for those short winter days. Just remember to wrap up warm. For a less family-friendly trip, a specialist tour operator in Japan has created a bucket list adventure. This 4-day trip takes you across the backcountry of Hokkaido, traversing dormant volcanoes and the steep open faces of Mount Yotei. If the weather is in your favour, you might even get to ride into its crater. It's not cheap though. 5 days will set you back about $3,700 US, but that does include a private guide and a hot onsen at the end of each day. And if you're more of a thrill seeker, how about heli skiing? From its beginnings in the 60s, this adrenaline sport has quite literally taken off. For a long time, it was pretty much only possible in North America. But for the last 2 decades, it's been possible to fly from a small mountain village in eastern Turkey up to the Pontic Alps. The trips only take 20 people, and with 5,000 square kilometres of slopes to explore, there's no shortage of fresh powder. With all that space, it's a great way to keep socially distanced while taking in some mega views.
Right, stay with us because still to come.
How to navigate an airport when a guide dog sees for you.
I think the main challenge will be getting up the steps and the loud noises of the aircraft.
And why fans of the Great British Fry-Up fear for its future.
This is like traditional East End here. It's got heritage, it's got culture. You know, if only these walls could speak.
So don't go away. Right, we're talking airports next, which are confusing places even without the addition of all the new COVID measures. But how would you navigate your way onto a plane without your sense of sight? Now here in the UK, Guide Dogs for the Blind has recently celebrated its 100th anniversary. So it's an ideal time to take a look at some of the challenges blind people face when trying to get on board.
And if you're wondering about the lack of masks, this was filmed shortly before that first lockdown changed things for everyone.
I'm Lucy Edwards. I am a radio presenter, freelance journalist, and 7 years ago I was diagnosed as completely blind. Before the age of 17, I had usable vision. I would go out and about without a guide dog, without a cane, feeling quite free.
Where are you travelling to today, madam?
We're travelling to Edinburgh. I didn't really have many concerns about where I was going, or I didn't feel anxious at all. And what brought about my anxiety was feeling disabled by the world. I had a huge knock in confidence. I didn't want to leave the house, let alone leave the country. And I think that's why only now, 7 years down the line, I am tackling plane journeys, because I feel okay enough to want to go to other places. It's honestly so mentally draining after going to a new place as a blind person when you've never been there before. And I think that's why when I'm in an airport situation, I have to just say, oh, could you please help me?
So you're in like what looks like a shopping centre at the moment. So you've got, then obviously there's lots of people around, lots of luggage.
It feels really busy.
Yeah, it is really busy.
It's really important to not feel overwhelmed in airport situations with a guide dog. You have to rely on your partnership together to get around, and you have to admit to yourself as a blind person, yeah, I'm not going to know everywhere that I am today. And initially, when you're doing something like that, it's daunting.
Can you squeeze through, guys?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So yeah, that was just too busy for her to get you through, so... And then you can carry on from there.
I think I could feel that she didn't know where she was going.
Yeah, that got very
through the
congested.
harness. That's when I get most anxious, when it's that crowded. I think from my point of view as well, because we're learning and I'm with you, I think that takes quite a lot of the stress to try and navigate those areas like we have just navigated. But it's
now she's rolling around on her back with her legs in the air.
I think the main challenge will be getting up the steps and the loud noises of the aircraft. But because I'm doing it with Michaela for the first time, you know, hopefully that will make both of us less anxious. Here's Olga's aeroplane bag, ready for the flight. Everything's in here: collapsible dog bowl, blanket, a bone to make her feel chilled out, and quite an important thing, her restraining harness. She can't actually use her guide dog official harness on the plane to restrain her, because this bit of her seatbelt needs to click into the aeroplane belts, so she's safe. This is the moment of truth, Olga's first aeroplane experience. Bit nervous. We've got to get her restraining harness on so she's secure and fastened to the plane. We don't know how it's going to be, her walking up the steps, but it should be good, exciting stuff.
She's looking very chilled at the moment.
Is she? Yeah.
Things are looking good.
Yeah, things are looking good.
so relieved that she's okay, and she's just been chewing the bone the whole flight. That's why I was able to have a bit of breakfast, because I thought, she's fine, sigh of relief, we're all good, guide dog okay, human okay. Now when I think of going on holiday as a non-sighted person, I think that I would love to explore the culture, the wine, the cheese, the food, the different languages, the smells, the touch, just a whole sensory experience really. Today has been a real eye-opener, if you'll pardon the pun. I have really enjoyed myself. I think the assistance was amazing, and now I know that Olga isn't going to be anxious on a plane, and she loves it and she can chew her bone. I am going to go on a lot more plane journeys, and I just feel so much more happy to embark on a journey, and I feel liberated.
All right, you've got a little step down, yeah. Okay, got you. There you go, and then you're just coming off that grid. Good.
Well, it's no surprise that COVID put a stop to Lucy's travel plans, and also Olga's, who's now enjoying a well-deserved retirement at home, alongside Lucy's new assistant's dog Molly, who will hopefully be going through the same flight training programme sometime soon. Let's hope she passes the test with flying colours. The traditional British cafe serving fried all-day breakfasts has been a fixture of the country's cuisine and culture for generations. But over the years, their numbers have dwindled, and thousands are now closing right across the country. Pellicci's in the East End of London has been serving up amazing full English breakfasts for over 120 years. I wanted to know what's behind their lasting success, and whether even iconic cafes like this are under threat.
Hey, you must be Ned.
Hey, Lucy.
Hello, nice to meet
you. How are you?
Oh.
Should we do that? Nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
This cafe is a true family affair, and it's been passed down between generations since 1900.
My dad was born upstairs in 1925, along with his brothers and sisters. We used to come in here before school, we'd come in here after school. It was part of our lives.
There's a really nice vibe in here as well.
Yeah, we like to keep a good little vibe. It's like when you're, like I said to you, it's like a second home for us. It's part of our life. So when you come in here, you're coming into our home. You get like a lot of regular people that come back, and they really sort of rely on you. Like if they didn't come into the cafe, they maybe wouldn't talk to a lot of people during the day, like a lot of the older people especially. Where the world's getting bigger, you can't know everybody, but in little places like the cafe, it is like a real community hub to people, but there are less and less places like this.
The cafe attracts customers from all walks of life, even the odd celebrity. Gemma Collins is reality TV star and presenter who has been coming to Pellicci's for years.
I feel that this is like traditional East End here. It's got heritage, it's got culture. You know, if only these walls could speak, I'm sure there's been a lot that's gone on here over the years. Just that real family hub feel is very rare. And yeah, you know, this is the only place that I know actually that's got it.
Bernard Copps, the East End writer, said, "These cafes, these interiors, these faces give you identity. Life is for real. It is all here, and that is enough. You know where you are."
Do you think we're beginning to see less of these kind of places now?
There are more challenges. Every day there's always new challenges. The price of everything has gone up. You have to put your price up a bit, and it don't go down well with the customers. We're lucky, we were passed this down by our grandparents, but it takes a lot of money to set up a cafe, so not everyone can afford to do that. You need a bit of backing behind you. We enjoy ourselves as much as the customers do.
Yeah.
Probably more.
Every day, Anna and her mum Maria cook homemade food using locally sourced fresh ingredients. But in an area that's rapidly changing, and as more big brand chains move in, the competition is getting tougher.
East London and all inner cities, I think, are like becoming gentrified, or whatever this word is that they're using. And I just think the soul's being lost. And it's a case of like the little guy helping the little guy still. I think that's so important at the minute. With all these big businesses, it's important, especially at the minute, to keep looking after one another, little guys, because fundamentally that's what keeps the country going, isn't it?
With, you know, taste buds kind of diversifying, and like we're saying, you know, culture's changing, food culture's changing. Yeah. How are you guys keeping up with the competition? What are you guys doing differently?
People have started to being able to travel, you know, a lot more and taste different, and realise, oh, you know, it's actually there's something more than egg and chips. But some little things have to change. Like I say, for example, like that coffee machine. You wouldn't have had it like years ago. East End people wouldn't have had that coffee. They wanted powder coffee, frothy milk. I used to love it. We've often thought about maybe doing this, maybe doing that, and then my mum's like, no, and she's always been right. Do what you do and do it well.
Rupa Bodani is an event chef and food blogger who cooks a diverse range of dishes and knows how modern tastes are evolving.
So we're in East London, so many restaurants from all different places all over the world. Do you think that's what the younger generation want?
Yeah, I think people really do love all the variety, and you know, there's so many people like going vegan and you know, or trying to be more vegetarian.
With all of that, you know, the traditional British cafe is struggling. Do you think it holds a place in the future in British food culture?
Oh, absolutely. I think they bring people together, serving up that nice warm grub that everybody enjoys. I think with any business, they need to adapt, providing full English vegetarian or vegan option. I don't think that there needs to be anything like an avocado toast on there because they are known for what they're known for.
So do you think it will be really sad to see them go? Do you think they'll be missed?
Most definitely. I think they are kind of part of the backbone of like some of these like communities, and you know, they're an institution.
You have no idea how much I'm looking forward to eating this fry up. I've seen it come past me a few times a day. Bring it all, bring it all. This is a lot of food. I'm going to try my hardest. So the places like Palici still going strong. I don't doubt for a second that the Great British Fire and the traditional British cafe will keep going strong. Right, that's it for now. Here's what's coming up next week.
Rajan's in Qatar as the country prepares for this year's Football World Cup. From the desert to a gleaming new city, he's seeing the places and meeting the people as they prepare to host the biggest football championship in the world.
This is the perspective that players will have as they walk out onto the game for the first match of the tournament here at the Al Bayt Stadium. Perfect, pristine conditions.
Well, I'm going to sit here and let my food settle. And while I do, don't forget, if you want to follow us on social media, look for BBC Travel Show on Facebook and Instagram. Stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.